Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. My name is Luis Portelles, and for today's video, we have a very special episode of Extraordinary Talks. And the reason for that is because for the very first time on this channel, I am interviewing a Cuban beauty queen. I know there are not so many out there, but this one is amazing, I promise. And I am just beyond excited to present to you the conversation that we had about her story, the challenges that she has to go through in life, her preparation for the pageant, and everything that she has in store for Miss Earth 2021. Cynthia Linnet was born and raised in Cuba and moved to the US at the age of 5. But today, she takes pride in representing 11.3 million Cubans, myself included, in the pageant of Miss Earth 2021. In order to make this video more accessible for you all, we tried as much as possible to speak in English so that you guys can understand clearly. And I just hope that by the end of this interview, you can see all the potential and all of the grace, elegance, and beauty that I see myself on this candidate. So I won't keep you waiting any longer, everyone. I will meet you with Cynthia right after the intro. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new episode of Extraordinary Talks. And just like I promised, here I have my extra special guest today, Cynthia Linnet. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me, Luis. I'm very excited to be here with my fellow Cuban.
Let me tell you, I am the one who's excited here because this is my first time ever having a Cuban miss on my channel, like ever. So you're the first one.
I feel so honored to be the first one and hopefully make rooms for a lot of many more Cuban contestants.
Absolutely. I'm sure that there will be many more. And I'm excited because we're going to have a fun conversation. And not only we get to introduce you as a candidate to my audience, but we also get to share a little bit of our country too.
I am super excited.
Yes, okay. So Cynthia, let's start by talking about you as a person. So let's say for people who don't know you, who are not familiar with you, how do you introduce yourself normally?
Well, usually the first thing you see me, my family, it's funny because for my picture on Miss Earth, they asked me if your family and friends could describe you, how
Yeah.
would you, how would, how would they describe you? And I said, I am full of heart. I'm kind, I'm caring, but I have this palpable energy. And what that means is I am very extroverted. I love to talk. I love to meet new people. I walk into a room, and by the end of the night, I will know everybody in that room. I am extremely friendly, and that is something that I truly love and I truly identify with. And I think that's definitely what I would say.
Yes, and I can attest to that because we've been talking back and forth through Instagram DMs, and you have always been the sweetest, the most supportive. So everyone, she's a sweetheart, I promise. While I was preparing for the interview, I was doing some research about you, and some of the things that I found out was that you are an actress, a model, you're a dancer, you play the piano. How do you have so many talents?
So it's funny because when I was little, my mom was kind of one of those parents that she kind of just put me in everything to see what I liked.
Yeah,
So she put me in dance. I ended up loving it. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old.
yeah.
For my talent in Miss Earth, I actually did belly dance and it went extremely well. I choreographed that choreography.
Mm.
I think it took me like an hour to choreograph it, put it together, and then film it because we were like rushing and my team had a tight schedule of filming.
Yes.
So it turned out great, and I'm very honored. The piano, I've been playing it for 8 years. Like
Ooh.
8 years. It's one of my absolute favorite musical instruments. A fun fact is that everybody in my family, on my dad's side, is some type of musician. So they can, and they're some type of musician, and they have like this musical gene in them that's fascinating because they can either sing, and they're great dancers. My mom was a professional dancer in Cuba,
Yeah.
so they have all some sort of like musical or sort of gene in their being that music is what guides them and drives them, and I can totally relate to that. I also did theater for 12 years, so art, like the arts, is something that I am super passionate about.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. And I feel like that's a good description for Cubans overall. Cubans are very artistic. We love to dance, we love to sing. Even sometimes if we're not like trained for it, we just love to enjoy life and the happy
That's
moments.
exactly what you said. Absolutely, 110%. Like
Yeah,
parties all the time.
exactly. Siempre es la fiesta, la fiesta.
Mucha fiesta.
So Cynthia, tell me a little bit about your background. So from what I understand, you were born and raised in Cuba, right?
I was born and raised in Cuba, and I migrated to the US when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Miami has been my home for quite some time. I have traveled back and forth because I have a lot of family and friends over there. On my dad's side, I have a lot of family over there, my uncles, my grandmother. So I have been there a lot, and I've been quite a couple of times this year, especially filming for Miss Earth, which has been
Okay.
beautiful. To go back to my country, which is going through a difficult time currently,
Yeah.
and which is why this means so much more to me. Because,
Mm.
like I always say, I'm not just one person. I'm not representing one person. I am representing a population of 11 million people. So
Yeah.
that to me means so much.
Absolutely. I actually have a few questions about that for later on during the interview, but I'm glad that you're bringing it up because it's something that when we talk about Cuba, sometimes we have to, take a moment and explain to everyone so that they understand, because it's like unlike any other country in the world.
There
But
is.
yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your pageant experience. So from my understanding, this is not your first pageant, right?
It is not.
Okay.
So I started in pageantry a little bit late actually. My first pageant was a local pageant,
Mm.
and I placed in the finalists, and it was because my mom just decided to submit my name and submit my application for me. I didn't even know it, and then she's like, you have to compete now, and I'm like, what? So I have to thank her for that because that's kind of how my journey started. It wasn't me. My mom like always pushes me to do it. So I have to give her thanks for it because now it's something that I absolutely loved. I competed in Miss Florida USA a couple of years back. I placed in the top 15.
Wow.
I'm 25 now. I want to say I was like 18, 19. I was very young.
Still a
Um,
baby.
Baby. I was baby Cynthia. That was actually like probably like my second or third competition. So it was actually
Wow.
it was a big challenge. I competed also in another smaller franchise representing Cuba, which it was my first pageant that I actually won for Cuba. It was called Queen of the Continents. And
Okay.
then this is a smaller, not really known franchise, but it was kind of like that first international step
Mhm.
that I took. So it was called Queen of the Continents International, and I ended up winning that. And then I came back. I participated here in Miami in a pageant called Miss Art Deco. I
Yeah.
won that. And then I won and I competed for Miss Intercontinental Cuba. And then I won that. And then I went internationally to the Philippines and I competed representing Cuba. I didn't win, but it was such a big eye opening experience for
Yeah.
me that I am so grateful. I spent 3 months in the Philippines seeing the culture, getting to know people. To this day, I think a lot of like my following and Instagram comes from the Philippines, which is a country that I love and adore so much. That I have lived there. I have tried their food. I experienced it through and through, and I am so grateful for it
Yeah.
because they're genuinely pageant fans.
Oh, yes. It's crazy. It's crazy
They're
in the
the
Philippines.
biggest pageant fans. I think it's phenomenal. And then with Miss Earth Cuba, it was a casting. They did like a virtual casting.
Okay.
Um, and then it was a couple of us, and then nothing. I got the news, and here I am now.
That's the call. Oh my God. Okay. But like talking to you, what I realized is that you're actually quite a threat. You have a lot of fashion experience, whether it's local, national, or international. You have done it all. So that's so crazy. And it's such a fun, fact that you mentioned that you've been to the Philippines because most of my audience, I would say like easily 80% of my audience is from the Philippines. So, you're right at home here. Everyone thinks I'm
I
crazy, but when I say that we have so much in common, like Cubans and Filipinos, whether it's like the food, the values, the culture, it's so similar. So you can attest to that as well.
we do. Filipinos are extremely hardworking, loving, loyal. They welcome everybody. It doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. They were so welcoming to me, and I want to say they are some of the most welcoming people I have ever met in my life. So I
Yeah.
am very grateful for that.
Absolutely. I love that. So, okay, so after going through all of these pageants, you decided to then pursue Miss Earth. What made you want to go for this one in particular?
So ever since I was a little girl, I have been obsessed with nature. I'm a big outdoors person. I may not look it, but I am. I'm always in the outdoors. I'm huge into water sports,
Yeah.
um, kayaking, just anything you mentioned. I know how to canoe. I know I ride jet skis all the time. So anything water sports related, I'm there. I love hiking. I've gone on some pretty interesting hikes around the world. I've been to more than 55 countries. That's a blessing. So I love hiking. I've done quite a couple of hikes and I've always loved nature. And then I joined a couple of about 2 to 3 years ago. I started working with the World Wildlife Fund.
Yes.
And it's such an amazing organization because I am now an ambassador with them. We are known as the Panda Ambassadors, and I get to work specifically focus on climate change and wildlife conservation, which is not only prominent to Cuba, but is also prominent on a global basis. So for me, that's extremely important. So I have always been an advocate for wildlife conservation and climate change. I do try to live a sustainable life. I try to promote it as best as I can. I have a project that I believe wholeheartedly in. It's called the Eco-pact initiative. And for me, Miss Earth was that next platform to kind of
Yeah.
continue and be the voice, not just for my country, but for people and the environment as a whole. I have a mission to revitalize Mother Earth. And through my project and through the Miss Earth platform, I feel that it can be done.
Absolutely. And you keep persevering, keep working hard, and I'm sure that you can make it. Of course. With everyone's help, absolutely, right? Because we cannot change the world ourselves,
No,
but you're
it
on the
takes
right
a
path.
village. It takes a village, Luis, including you. You've been so great from
Yeah.
the moment I said, "Hey, I'm Cuban. How are you?"
I was like, ah! Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about our country, about Cuba. And I feel, honestly, one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk to you is because, well, first of all, Cuba is slowly but surely coming back into the pageant scene. Um, but I feel like for the longest time, we have been a little bit misrepresented, misunderstood as people, right? Because when you talk about Cuba very often, the first thing that comes to mind is politics,
100.
or I don't know, other stuff that has nothing to do with us as people. So how does it feel for you to have this responsibility to represent 11 million Cubans out there?
I think it's a blessing in disguise because, like you said, people don't really know what to expect when a Cuban queen goes on stage. You don't
Yeah,
really know if she's gonna have this firm footing on this stage, and I think it's the world of pageantry for me was an eye opener,
yeah,
and it was a stage where I was able to show people who I am, show what I stand for. For me, it's not just about beauty, looks, brains. There's so much substance behind that, and that's truly what I want to show people. So for me with Cuba, it's kind of that same concept where
yeah,
Cuba is seen as this country that people perhaps don't know a lot about. And maybe what they do know about, it's centered on just the politics of the country and
mhm,
the negative situations of it. So there's so much more to it than that. The people specifically, because I'm representing the people of my country. And
yeah,
that is for me a blessing because I want to show people that, like you, Luis, and me, who were born in Cuba, we come from families who are extremely hardworking,
yeah,
who don't give up. Cubans have been through so much oppression for so many years. So it's that time, and it's now the time, and especially for me, where I have this platform where I can speak through you to so many people through my own social media platforms, and just like on all interviews that I've been on, like I always say, I am the voice of my people and I want to be that for them because they are hardworking. They're more than just what people know. There's so much substance behind each individual. I
yeah,
come from a family and a mother who, when she got here, started cleaning floors, but today she's the owner of her own company. So, it's just, it's that level of understanding that Cubans don't give up. And even those that are living in Cuba full
yeah.
time, when they don't have something to eat, they go and farm it or they ask their neighbor.
Hmm.
They help each
Exactly.
other. It's just these cultural things that people don't know about. And I think that's really what I want people to get from Cuba, that there's more to it than meets the eye.
Absolutely. Because precisely, I mean, first of all, I agree 100% with everything that you said. I feel like there's really, when we talk about Cuba, very often we focus on like politics and things that have nothing to do with its people. And we tend to forget how warm, welcoming, like helping, how, loving Cuban people are. To have someone like you representing for us and doing it so well, with so much class, with so much kindness, it just makes me honestly feel so proud. Um, in your opinion, because once again, we're slowly coming back into the pageant scene. We are being, a little bit more out there. Because of this, people don't know us as well as maybe other countries that are already like powerhouses, like the Philippines or Thailand, Venezuela, I don't know, you name it, like big countries in pageantry. What is a misconception that you think people have about Cubans?
That is a fantastic question because I one of the first interviews I did after I won the Miss Earth Cuba crown, and this question has been asked before, and to me, it's always eye opening because it's either do you feel nervous? Do you feel who is your biggest competitor? That's something I always get, and in me, I always say I'm my own biggest competitor,
Mhm.
and we may not be known as a powerhouse, we're tiny, but that doesn't mean we can make a big splash.
Yes.
and and for me, I feel like the biggest misconception overall that people think about us is that we don't have the preparations, and I think that is up to you and how much you really want to put into it,
Yes.
because what you put in is what you get back. So
Yes.
with me, I have worked in every angle of this competition. Everything from behind the scenes, all the videos I have produced, with my team, but I have had a say from the color, from the walk to the turns to the way I carried myself, like into everything I have had a say. And I sit every single day and I prepare for this competition.
Mhm.
Whether it's virtual or not, there's always something new I have to learn.
Yes.
I read up on the environment. I read up on new laws. There's so much that you can do yourself as a candidate. So
Mhm.
the biggest misconception is that, at least in Cuba, like you said, it's not a powerhouse. But the biggest misconception I would definitely say is that perhaps we're not as prepared as other countries. But
Mm.
I think that depends on you.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And we were just talking about this before we started recording the interview. But if you want to share a little bit, this is actually Cuba's first year coming back into Miss Earth since 2007, right? With a new organization. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes?
So behind the scenes, we have a great team put together, and I think for me, it's been a challenge because this is the first time that Cuba has an entire organization
Yeah.
because they love Miss Earth so much. Like this organization is a huge Miss Earth fan. They love what Miss Earth stands for. They love the candidates. My director has great relationships with other directors already, and I think that's something admirable. And for me, it's a big challenge because I have to carry that legacy on for the girl that comes next year. We're already soon, the castings are going to start for the new Miss Cuba for the
Yeah.
2022 next year for the girl that gets to be my successor. And I think that's so exciting because this whole team wholeheartedly believes in the Beauty for a Cause mission.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think that's something that's so different. And it's kind of like when you have a business, that's what's standing, but then you want to do a rebranding so
Yeah.
that you can make that big splash, like I always say, and show the substance of what Cuban women are made of. You
Mm.
know, there could be beautiful, but there's so much more behind of it. We are prepared women. We have degrees. We know, where we stand. We know what we want and we go for it. And I think that's something so powerful. And really, I think that my organization, that's what they want to portray. So I feel honored that they chose me to be their first representative.
Oh, as you're describing all of that, I'm just getting the chills over here.
Why glad?
I love that, honestly. Just make me feel proud of my country, my roots and everything. So I'm
I
just
think it's time. I
yeah,
think it's time.
so happy indeed. So let's talk a little bit about the content that has been put out there already. Because like you're saying, the organization has an entire team that is there to support you, to help you realize your vision. And so far, what I've seen of the Miss Earth competition, which is already, happening as we speak, it has been really, really amazing. So we had the talent competition, which you mentioned that you dance. I watched your video. I loved it. The choreography was amazing. Your body is insane. And I'm just like, how does she do it?
So it does take a lot of preparation. It does take a lot of prep, but for me, mental prep is number one. I always say if you're not mentally present and you're not mentally okay with yourself or mentally in the moment,
Yeah.
it doesn't all flow together. So for me, I mentally prepare always. I have a lot of faith in the big guy up there. That for me is huge.
Yeah.
So before any performance, whether it's virtual or not, I always say my prayers and I usually try to get like a little meditation in, like mind meditation within myself. And that's
Mhm.
usually the first thing that I do. But
Yeah.
yeah, this time around, I'm very proud because we have put out some good quality videos, you know? And like I always tell everybody, you're not gonna be everybody's favorite. You're not gonna, but if you yourself feel good with what you did and the work that you're putting, because
Yeah.
I know that I am working so hard for this. I can say it and my team sees it, that to me means the world. And
Yeah.
if you yourself saw it, that means so much to me because you are a fellow Cuban. So that means I am representing you well.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I was actually watching as well the video that was released for the beachwear competition for the presentation, and I was actually shocked to see that you went all the way back to Cuba to film the video. Because, I mean, when we think about it, right? You are representing for Cuba, but you live in the US right now. In Florida, there are beautiful beaches. Like you don't need it to go all the way back to Cuba just to get this video to film this presentation. However, it's really the small details that make a big difference. And that's how, I really got this feeling like, oh my God, this girl is really trying to represent for Cubans like fairly. It's not just about having the name across your chest. It's not about, just being in the competition, but it's really about bringing a little bit of visibility to show a little bit of what we have to offer. You were at a hotel, if I'm not mistaken, so already there you're
But
showing
I
location.
can't wait for you to see the eco video. That's gonna
Yeah.
be
Oh.
a fun one. That was, you know what? It was for me, people don't know it's been very challenging to get all the footage because like you said, I'm based out of the
Yeah.
US, but I'm representing Cuba, which is where I was born. I'm a Cuban citizen, I'm a US citizen. So I have double citizenship and I was able to go back and forth. I have family in the islands and due to that, it did make my life a little bit easier because they have contacts over there where they can help me, with filming, with things like that. So I was very blessed in that sense, but it was a lot harder because of the current situation the country is going through,
Mhm.
getting to certain parts, finding a time where everybody was available to film. There were a lot of things that people don't know and the difficulties behind the scenes because I didn't live in my country and my country is undergoing through so many situations, that I'm sure the whole world knows.
Yeah.
But it's been a challenge. It has not been easy. I will tell you that, but it's been a challenge that has been worth it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. How did you manage to move like within the country in Cuba in order to get all the footage to, be able to put all the videos together? Because I imagine that must have been like a real challenge.
So
That
you
was
rent
the actual challenge right
Yeah,
there.
so you can rent a car, thankfully. I have my family who luckily have a couple of resources, and I did have my help from my mom here and my organization here. So we were able to, rent a car ahead of time and prepare for it. The hardest thing was definitely getting everybody to align with this, like with their schedules,
Mm,
because, even though I have a team here and I had to contact people over there, like my makeup artist went with me over there also. So it was her first time because she's Dominican. She's not Cuban, you
wow.
know? So that's it, it's completely different. She's based out of here, but she's also Dominican and she does travel for work. So it was just like things like that, try to coordinate everybody's schedules flying to Cuba, which right now it's really hard to actually even just get a flight, but we worked with con una agencia de Cuba, so
Sí.
with a travel agency, a Cuban travel agency, and it was a lot easier to facilitate versus me going online and trying to find a flight or
Yeah.
my organization. So my director coordinated with a travel agency, and that made the process a lot easier. And it was done a couple months before everything actually happened. So that helped a little bit.
Mhm.
But regardless of the situation, it's been challenging to get everything edited on time. And I am so proud to say we got everything in when the deadlines were supposed to be. Like we have not submitted any video late. Like we got everything in on time by the deadline. And I am so proud to say that because that was one of my big worries.
Yes, absolutely. Because that talks a lot about, like how professional you are and about the organization as well. So although like the fans and the audience might never get to know those little things unless you say them, the organization, like internally, they're watching and they know. So good.
100%. And I think this goes, I imagine, for all the candidates competing. There's always things that are happening and behind the scenes. You can have an off day. You
Yeah.
can like my dad himself is undergoing cancer, you
Mhm.
know? Like there's just things where there are days that not everything is always happy, not everything
Mhm.
is always, but just the fact that you really want this dream and you're following for this dream and you
Yes.
believe in something so true and so big, it's what makes it worth it.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is that, so far with the conversation that we've had, you would assume that you have like this beautiful, perfect life because everything is positive, inspiring, nice things coming. But you are actually not once, but twice a cancer survivor. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
I am. So I'm a two-time cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with a gastrointestinal stromal tumor at the age of 13.
Wow.
And I did the typical treatments that, a cancer patient goes through. And for me, that was very hard because I missed 2 years of my teenage years, as you could say. When you're 13, you're officially a teenager for the first
Yeah,
time. And,
exactly.
I was homeschooled for 2 years and almost, and I was undergoing treatment. And then when I was okay for a year after.
Mhm,
So, after they tell you, okay, you're done with treatment, you're
mhm,
under you're under strict watch with your medical team for 5 years.
mhm,
So I was okay for a year, but the year after, it was funny. I had actually come back from vacations in Cuba,
mhm,
talking about that, and I came back and I felt ill again. So immediately, my mom took me straight to the doctors, and my cancer had come back.
mhm.
But
Okay.
within a year, I had 1 year, and then again, it came back.
Ooh,
And then I had to go through like strict rounds of radiation because so it spread from my stomach to my lung and my liver.
okay.
So I had to go through like big courses, another entire surgery. I A lot of people don't know I lost 2/3 of my stomach. So during the first time they took away 2/3 of my stomach, which is a lot for somebody who's petite in the sense that I've never been a voluptuous girl. I've always taken care of myself. I've always been
Yeah.
healthy, but it did leave me very skinny, very fragile, like very insecure overall. It was a process that I didn't recognize myself, at 13. And then it happened again. I was like 15 turning 16. It happened again. And then it was another rough year and a half. And then you never really fully recover because you're always under strict watch and you're always worried for
Yeah.
the rest of your life. Like there's that possibility that it can come back, you
Mhm.
know? Because what people don't know about cancer is, and I did cancer research for 2 years, what people don't know is that just because you beat it once doesn't mean that it can never come back. Just because you beat it twice. Um, and sadly, it is something that on my dad's side it runs. So it's something that you have to be under strict watch, and that's why I like to take very good care of myself.
Mhm.
But no, growing up it was not easy, but I had a great support system, and
Yeah.
I think it makes a difference fully.
That's what really matters. And I thank you so much for talking about it so openly because I have a story of cancer in my family as well. Like I never had it, but my grandparents, both of my grandparents on my mom's side of the family, had it. And it's a terrible disease in the sense that it's not only affecting you personally, but also your family and the people around you, your loved ones. So it's very, very challenging. And when you look at a girl like you who is doing so much, being so inspiring, and living her best life, the last thing that you will think is that you went through such a challenging experience. Um, can you tell me how, I mean, like from the perspective of mindset, right? How did you shift from, okay, I am a cancer survivor, or I went through this traumatic experience, to now I want to use my voice to talk about this, inspire other people, bring awareness. How does that change?
Making me cry because it brings back
Don't cry, because I'm gonna cry too.
No, you know what it is? It's just when I had so much support while I was undergoing treatment.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know Make-A-Wish Foundation, they're
Mm,
globally. I had my wish granted with them. And that was really my first footing of what philanthropic work was, and it's not to say so cancer for me was a blessing and a curse at the same time. It was
mhm,
a blessing in the sense that it brought me to see the potential I had within myself to help so many people. So for me, I had my wish granted at 14, and it was something amazing. And to this day, I could say that I'm on the board, of the Make-A-Wish Foundation here in Southern Florida. And that was really my first step into philanthropic work at such a big scale. I was this little 14, 15-year-old girl undergoing still her treatment, and I was invited to these events to talk about my story and inspire people, and I got to meet some pretty amazing people along the way. So many amazing fellow cancer survivors. Then I went on to work with the American Cancer Society on a national level. I became one of their first Gen 2 ambassadors globally. For me, cancer was that stepping stone into realizing, wow, I have so much potential into helping people. And during my time, I went through so much that I was like, why not give it back? So many people did it for me that I wanted to find a way to give that back. So for me, that turned into this passion of when I say I truly have a heart for philanthropic work, I do, because I genuinely have done this since I was like 12 years old. I have been an advocate since I was 12 years old. And then with cancer, it started as soon as I got diagnosed. I became an advocate for cancer. And at one point, I was doing cancer research for 2 years, just because at one point I thought I wanted to be, a scientist, and then I realized that it wasn't for me. But I did very good work
yeah.
within the field, and I got to know so much. And then that was my stepping stone into philanthropic work. So I think for me that was so big. And then I was so insecure for so long because I had gone through surgeries. It's a lot harder for my body to be at the shape I want or to look how I wanted to
Mhm.
because of all the toxins I've had, because of all the surgeries I've had. And for me, pageantry, I think my mom, the reason why to this day, I think she made me run, not made me, but like she didn't tell me that she was, submitting me for my first pageant is because she truly believed in me when I didn't,
Mm,
because I haven't always been secure. Now
yeah,
I can say I know who I am and I'm a secure 25-year-old. But
yeah,
back then at 18, I had so many insecurities on who I was, and even though I was doing so much and I felt proud with certain accomplishments, with
yeah.
myself, I wasn't fully secure. And that for me was like a huge eye opening. So I had to think pageantry because that's when I realized that like, oh, I can really do this.
Yeah.
Like, I have a talent for this. So why not? I not only can I help others through this platform, but it helps me truly take that next step to really realize that I'm worth so much.
Mm,
And it really is all about your mental thought and your mental train and your mental, like how you see yourself is so important. And and that was very eye opening for me because I had gone through so much that it took me longer to realize it.
wow. Honestly, when you see your mom, give her a hug for me because we
I
need to be
will.
thankful. We need to be thankful because she thought about, enrolling you for the pageant. And also, nothing but respect and props to you for really turning such a traumatic experience and turning it into something positive that is so selfless, giving to other people and informing them and bringing awareness, informing them about these issues. It's just remarkable. It would have been so easy to just live in fear of cancer, of a potential comeback and stuff like that, but you definitely turned. When life gave you lemons, you made lemonade.
I make
That's
lemonade.
yeah,
I
yeah,
still try to make lemonade, and it's funny because to this day, it's as funny as it sounds, and as cliche as that saying sounds. It's so true. You
yeah,
know, when you
absolutely.
have lemons, why not make lemonade? It's
We love lemonade in
true.
Cuba.
I guess.
Okay, so now talking about inspiring others, can you tell me a little bit about your advocacy? What is it that you're standing for during Miss Earth and that you're fighting for?
So my advocacy is focused on climate change and wildlife conservation,
Mm.
specifically on reducing the human impact on the environment. And I created a project that's called the Eco-pact initiative. Currently, I've done it at a community level where I'm at, but I've also partnered with certain local businesses in Cuba.
Mhm.
And what happens with the Eco-pact is that I come and I present to them and I give them a small explanation of the current situation in the environment.
Yeah.
And then I tell them, so what is your Eco-pact? It could be very small, it could be big, whatever you want. It's really up to you. You can be an individual, an organization, or even a business, there's no specifications when it comes to that.
Okay.
But you tell me your Eco-pact and you have a certain period of time to do it, because it could be whether it's a small action or a big action, it starts that, domino effect
Yeah.
where if you make an action and I make an action,
Mhm.
we're working to revitalize Mother Earth. So
Yeah.
it's actually like a plan of action. And through the Eco-pact, say I have a local business that I partner with. It's a tutoring business called Cram Coach Tutoring. And their Eco-pact was, we're going to recycle all the papers we use. And we're
Okay.
going to plant a tree for every student that passes their SAT exam. That's unbelievable,
Exactly.
So they're already doing something at the local level, but something that's going to go globally. So right now I'm actually working on an international platform that's not out yet. It's been a lot of work because it does take a lot of work
Yeah.
when it comes to coding and all of that. But I'm very excited about it. I'm hoping it launches. It's going to launch hopefully sometime in November. It's taking
Okay.
me a while, but I'm very excited about it. And it's going to give people the opportunity in other countries to also become a part of the Eco-pact.
I love that. You know, what I really love about your approach is that very often when we talk about these issues, right, like environment and, climate change, it often seems so complex that you ask yourself, what can I do? Like my little self, can
Exactly.
we do for the world, like to make a change? And it seems just impossible. But the way that you are approaching it is really focusing on the small actions that we can do in order to have a bigger impact as a whole, as a society together. So I love that. And the way that you're approaching, like not only like individuals, but organizations and like businesses as well. I feel like it's a way to not only inspire them to do something like once, but really change a behavior, include it within their everyday life. And eventually it becomes, something that you just part of your routine, right?
And
So
you know what's so amazing about it is that I'm coming to people who not everybody is aware of what's going on globally in terms of climate change, in terms of wildlife conservation, in terms of ocean conservation, in terms of plastic pollution.
yeah,
People aren't really aware. And even though we have the internet, not everybody sits down in a computer and Googles, what can I do for the environment? And that right there is the key, to my,
exactly.
and that right there is the key to my project and to this platform that I'm creating. And it's not only me going and informing you on what's going on, because that isn't enough. I can tell you 100 times, but that doesn't mean you're going to make a pact or you're going to do anything. It's
Mhm,
like, what can you as an individual do that's not perhaps not going to cost you money,
mhm.
that is not going to, change your train of thought? I'm not coming here and telling you, well, your opinion is not valid. No, we all have opinions. We all have thoughts, we all have wants, we all have things that we feel more passionate about than others. But
Yeah,
my job, is to tell you, you can be a part of this change, but let's work together on it. I'm not here to change your train of thought. I'm here to show you how by making one small step, you can create this domino effect,
yeah.
that will, at the end, truly revitalize Mother Earth. And I think that's what's so amazing about the whole process of Miss Earth. And I think that's the real key that we need in like ourselves, as we call ourselves eco warriors. And I think that for me is so important. And that's why I'm really passionate about this project.
I love it. I 100% I love it. I'm behind you. I'll enroll myself. I'm top a challenge already.
I believe in you, Luis.
Yes, I got this. So, how do you think that if you were given the chance to become the next Miss Earth 2021, how would you use that platform in order to, amplify your voice and work on your advocacy?
You know what's unbelievable about the platform that we currently have?
Yeah.
Um, because the Eco-pact is so important to me and something I'm so passionate about. I'm passionate about advocacy in general, lobbying in general, and I believe that one person can't do it alone. I think it involves, you know, a village. Like I always say, I'm not just one person. I'm representing 11.3 billion people. As Miss Earth, I'll be representing a global, a global elite amount of people. And I think that's so powerful. So for me right now, the Eco Pact is I'm working to create the Eco Pact on a global level. So given me the title of Miss Earth, or if I were, to be the next Miss Earth, I would definitely create that change and bring it not just upon businesses. I think I would take it to a government level because
Mhm.
through the like there's a lot of ignorance in a lot of areas of life, and I think the environment is one of the ones where there's a lot of ignorance towards certain things. There are people that don't think climate change is real, and certain aspects and things occurring in the environment. But I'm here to tell you that there are ways where you can make a small change, whether you believe it will work or not. But as Miss Earth, I think it is so important to let people know that they can do this through something so simple, and even as I feel like if I were to stand in front of like the president of the US, the president of I don't know, the president of Spain, right? The president of the Philippines, hey, maybe they'll welcome me and present the Eco Project at what it stands for, I have no doubt in my mind that they would say, you know what, that's a great idea. And I'm going to join you because you have a point. It's a small action. And right now, as a nation and where we're standing, there's more and more action that's being taken. So I think right now we're at the forefront of change, and being Miss Earth offers that. It is that stepping stone to really use the platform and say, I'm an eco warrior. I wholeheartedly believe in this mission, and I think you can join me too.
Yes, I love that. Oh, standing ovation, everyone. Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, we're coming towards the end of the interview, but before we go, I wanted to go back a little bit to, we're talking about Cuba and the current situation. Politics is always a very complex subject. But how do you think a beauty queen can inspire people during a time that they're feeling hopeless or voiceless, or that they are not being heard or understood? How do you think that, how does pageantry participate in this?
I think we are given such a powerful platform,
Mhm.
to use, and it starts with our own personal platform,
Yeah.
not so much the organization's platform at the moment. I think it starts within you as the individual and the message that you want to portray. I have girls messaging me, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're, sad messages. And in me, I tell them, you are worth it. You are valued. I see you. And if you need anything, I am here to help you. I don't care if you're a stranger, if I don't know you. I
Yeah.
am willing to be there and give whatever advice that is needed. And I think if you see in me a queen who has this whole entire story that she has suffered, she has been down, she is insecure, because I have been beaten. And I'm sure a lot of my sister queens have remarkable stories. And I think that platform that pageantry has offered us, and beyond that, our own personal platform, I think we have the power to inspire those girls by saying our stories and showing them that just because we went through those things,
Mhm.
we didn't let that, keep us from our dreams. And I think that's the most powerful message you can send someone. Doesn't matter how many times you fall, what
Yeah.
matters is how many times you get up.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
I have been someone who has fallen more times than I can count. More times than I can count. But I have a belief,
Right.
I have a mission, and I have a dream, and I will fight for that dream and continue fighting for it. It doesn't end here. And I think that's the message I want to send to these girls, because I was there once. I'm today the way that I am because of the journey that's called life. And I think that's what's so amazing. And that's what I want little girls to see. It doesn't matter. Your life isn't easy. It isn't. It's not. And that's
Absolutely.
the reality of the situation, is that life isn't easy. You are gonna fall, you are gonna cry, you are gonna hurt. But the remarkable thing is that there'll be another door, but it's up to you to open it.
Yes. Oh, every answer that you give me, I just want to get up and be like, Another standing ovation. What can I tell you, Cynthia? I feel like honestly, uh, the position that you have right now, it's very, it's remarkable because you're doing an amazing job. I am so proud of you, as a beauty queen, as a person, as a fellow Cuban. I'm just, in awe of you and your talent. I also thank you for representing me, for representing our people so fairly, because it's rare that Cubans sometimes get the actual representation, the actual treatment that we deserve sometimes because of many elements. But you're doing an amazing job. And I've been doing these interviews for the longest time. It's been almost a year at this point, and you're the first Cuban
Congrats.
queen that I have on my channel.
I
And
feel honored.
yes, honestly, I am like shaking because for the very first
Good
time,
thing, though.
I can actually relate to that feeling of, you know, this is my queen. This is like representing for me, you know and I've made amazing friends from this channel. I met like the most amazing like beauty queens and all, but for the very first time I can feel that of like, wow, this girl is doing this for me and for my people. That's
Well,
great.
I'm so glad you can feel that because that's another one of the reasons why I jumped into pageantry after my mom catapulted me. I think it's so amazing to be able to stand up stage and be like, I have a representative, you
Yeah,
know? And I think right now, that's what our country is going through. They need a representative, in so many other ways, to be their voice to say, no, we're not okay, but we're also not giving up. And I
yeah,
think that right now is what's crucial within our culture, our people. It's that we're not okay, and that's the reality.
yeah.
But we're not giving up either, and I think that's so powerful. And
Never
for
giving up,
me,
always fighting.
always fighting, and for me, that's an honor. And fighting is something that I know how to do very well.
Yeah,
I have been fighting since I was very young for my life, for my dreams, for my wants, and today I can say that it is an honor for me to be where I am today. And I am very thankful and grateful for the road that I have led, despite everything that I've been through.
yes, absolutely. Well, and now I am here to help you fight, and I'm sure that my audience will help you fight as well to get the crown of Miss Earth, because you have everything that it takes to do this. So I'm
You know,
confident. I trust you, and I know that you will do amazing. Regardless of the outcome of this competition, we are already so proud of you. So to help you on this journey, if you wanna share with the audience, with the people watching us, where they can find you on social media, how they can help you within the pageant.
Well, first of all, Luis, además, muchísimas gracias por tenerme aquí en tu
Ay,
programa,
mi
darme
amor, un
espacio,
placer.
¿no? Y ser tan lindo conmigo. Thank you, everybody. Whether you know me or not, whether you followed me before or not, I am so grateful for your support. You can follow me on Instagram at Cynthia Linnet. So it's at Cynthia Linnet, and on Facebook as Cynthia Linnet Lau. And yeah, I am so honored and grateful. I think I have a challenge ahead of me, but one that I'm very proud to lead.
You got this in the bag. Muchas gracias una vez más por tu tiempo, por todo, por ser tan abierta con las respuestas, y realmente ha sido un placer enorme, enorme. Te
Ay,
admiro y
muchas
estoy aquí para
gracias.
apoyarte.
Y mi amor, muchas gracias por tenerme aquí presente contigo, poder hablar contigo. Es un honor para mí, la verdad, y poderte representar a ti, ser tu representante, para mí es un honor muy grande.
Oh,
Ya puedes decir, hoy sí tengo una representante.
hoy sí tengo.
Hoy sí tienes una representante. Ah, no, y ya
Alright.
tienes una amiga en mí también, para lo que sea.
Igualmente, igualmente. Aquí estamos, aquí estamos.
Aquí
And everyone, thank you so much for watching the interview with us and staying until the very end. As always, as I always tell you, please take care of one another, stay safe out there, and I'll see you very soon with another episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank you.